Thank you so much for joining our webinar today. My name is Kim from the Mable team, and you are in a webinar today about understanding Mable safeguards. Today, our presenter is Simon. He leads the customer safeguarding team here at Mable. Just a few reminders before I hand over to Simon. We will distribute a copy of this webinar, so the recording, to you tomorrow if you want to catch up on the content. And there is also a chat function, which you guys are more than welcome to pop any questions in throughout the webinar. We will have some time towards the end for Simon to take your questions. We just encourage you that if you do have any specific questions about your personal situations, to get in touch with us directly. I'll pop an email in the chat just so we can better support you and just make sure that all your information is private. Just on the next slide, Simon, I would love to do an acknowledgement of country. So we acknowledge the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and recognize their continuing connection to land, waters, and culture. We pay our respects to their elders past, present, and emerging, and we extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people here today. With that, I would love to welcome Simon. Hey, Simon.
Hey, Kimberly, thank you very much for the introduction and welcome everybody to our Safeguards webinar today. So what we're going to be going through today is a little bit about the Safeguards teams, what they actually do, the different platform features that we have that are built into our platform for safety, just going around agreements, because agreements is definitely one thing that helps everybody keep safe, whether you're a client, a coordinator, or a worker on the platform. The differences around what the support worker verification and insurance is that they have, some of our top tips, and then also how we can either report an incident or a complaint to the safeguarding teams for us to be able to investigate and action that moving forward. So let's jump in. And like Kim said, if you have questions, just keep those questions ready for the end, because we'll have some really good Q&A time that we can go through any questions that anybody has moving forward. So starting off with the safeguard team. So what is the safeguarding team here to do? So obviously we have our dedicated safeguarding team. We're here to help mediate between things when things don't go as right or as planned as what they should be, right? So that's no matter who you are on our platform, the safeguarding team looks after everything to do with clients, support workers, coordinators, and any of those account holders for those participants moving forward. Our focus is on protecting everybody and making sure people feel supported and to speak up if something really doesn't go right. These are the different types of things that we actually look at in regards to the safeguarding. So we look at all the incidences. So basically looking at that is what we classify as an incident or any act or omission that happens on an actual shift that is connected through the platform, right? So that means like anything from safety concerns to property damage or anything like that, that's classified as an incident. Whereas a complaint could be something around things like a dissatisfaction of conduct or the service that's being provided or anything like that, that you could be reaching out and whatever party it is, whether it's the client, the support provider, or the coordinator, for us to be able to help mediate and get to an expected resolution for that. We also look at our platform safety measures. So, and anything that we might impose upon any people that are coming to the platform. So what I mean by that is that we look at all user accounts on the platform and whether we do put a platform safety measure on an account, which could include things like a permanent account closure, where the assessment's been made whether or not the behavior of that person on the platform breaches any of our terms of conditions or anything like that in regards to that, or potentially any of the NDIS terms of code of conduct and so forth, to whether it's a temporary account closure until investigations are completed or a limited access based on different scenarios. We also have moderation to ensure some safeguarding. So these are actually different models that we have that run in the background of the platform of Mable that look for different things like bad language that's used across the platform. It could also be where something's put into a shift note around incident that might have happened, but it hasn't been reported to us, or so forth, where we then go and check that as well. So we've got a bit of a moderation system that works in the background to try and safeguard or add that extra layer of safeguards to the platform as well. So when we look at our safeguarding team, so obviously we go by some guiding principles for our safeguarding team. So definitely 100% people focus and proactive. So this is where we want to make sure that we are deeply committed to addressing everybody's concern and treating you with the respect you deserve. Accessibility. So our system is designed to be used by everybody, even those who might need that extra support. We make sure that the information around our complaint policy is all on the website. So you would see that our customer-facing complaint policy, it outlines absolutely everything and how we do anything. In regards to responsiveness, so we are ensuring that every single incident is completed within 2 business days. There may be some incidences, depending on the severity of that incident, where we would actually escalate that and be at a quicker response time. And all our complaints are within 3 working days, where we'll reach out to any party that has put through a complaint. We make sure that we're impartial and fairness. As I've sort of mentioned before, and you'll probably hear me mention throughout this, we are actually here to help mediate, right? So we are not the decision maker on things, and we have to stay impartial and fair to both sides of the equation when a complaint comes through or an incident happens or anything like that. And that's where we do definitely think about the fact that we are very equal on our approach to things. Our privacy and disclosure, so all your personal information is handled with the utmost strict and care and adhering to all our privacy laws on our platform. And then also in regards to safeguarding, we maintain a zero tolerance on any potential violence towards people with disability or older people, or the same against a support provider that comes to the platform as well. So let's have a look at the different types of platform features that we have for support right now. So there's a couple of different features that we actually have. What I'm going to do is I'm going to talk through them a little bit first, give you a bit of an explanation, and then I'm actually going to flip to the platform and I'm actually going to show you where you can find all of this in the platform. So obviously our first thing is communication. So obviously we do have a really good chat functionality and messaging functionality throughout the platform. We have in-app calling, we have video calling, we have blocking and reporting that we have in the platform. So if we just have a look at our communication, our chat function, so chat securely within the platform. So as you potentially would all know, because you've all been using the platform, you can go in and whether you're using our app or our web-based version, you can 100 securely message through the platform with any support provider, client, or whoever you're having that communication with, coordinator, whatever it may be. You can actually create group chats. So if you actually have a team of workers that are working for you, you can actually create that group chat throughout our platform as well. So once you actually are in agreement with all of your workers, if you want to have your support team all have one chat together, there is the ability to create a group chat as well. We definitely advise everybody until you have gotten into a relationship with a different party, so whether it be the support worker or the client, to keep your phone number private, and you can actually call through the platform. There's no cost to do it or anything like that. And you can also use the free in-app video calling as a safeguard moving forward as well. So if you're doing those meet and greets and you don't want to do that first meet and greet in person, there is the functionality to be able to do a video call through the platform. Then we also have different things around our blocking and reporting, right? So at any time, you can stop receiving messages, video calls, agreement requests, or anything by blocking somebody. And I'll show you how you can do that. Somebody that you've blocked can see that you switched off their messaging. They can see. We won't contact them and tell them directly they've been blocked, but you can still report any blocked people and so forth. And also there's extra functionality in the platform where you can report any conversation as well to us. And I'll show you some different things around that and how you can use that to actually report something directly to us without potentially having to go and fill in a complaint form as well moving forward. So if I jump into the platform now, so excuse me 1 second while I change up my screens. So this is the platform. This is one of our test profiles that we have, Peter Parker. So it's not actually Spider-Man, it is just Peter Parker. You can see here that he's already started having conversations with Harry, the support worker. So this is where he can use a couple of different functionalities moving forward. So one, he can use our call feature up the top here. So if you can see where I'm hovering up the top here on the platform, actually, I might just try and make that a little bit bigger for everybody. You can see here, there's a phone there. If you actually click that button, it will actually dial out to make a phone call to that person. It will only make a phone call to that person when you're actually obviously in the platform or in the app. I would say my bit of advice for this, the app sometimes is a little bit better, right? When you're trying to make the phone call than using it from the web version. But once you click on that, what will actually come up and what we'll see on the other side, it will actually come up. It actually encodes the number. So it's not calling from your number. It's not calling from a number that's attached to your profile or anything like that. It's a completely random different number. So they never actually get given your number, right? And I think that's one thing that I also need to make sure that everybody is aware of. Like, until you are actually in an agreement with either party, so whether you're the client or the support worker, no details are actually shared unless you have shared any information, right? So your contact details, any extra information about you, your email address, your address, your phone number, anything like that in regards to a client is never shared with the support worker until such time you're in an agreement with them. So you can use that. You can also use the video function. So the video function is here. You can 100% click on that and set up, even if you're both talking at the one time, you don't necessarily have to go in and set up a meet and greet. You can click on that and the video function will come up and it will give a notification to the other person that's online to be able to see that the video has started, right? So they're definitely two of the good safeguards that you can do with somebody if you want to be able to have that contact with somebody, have a conversation with somebody, have a video with somebody before actually meeting up with them. What you can also do is you can set up the meet and greet. So if I click on set up a meet and greet, it will tell me that I want to invite Harry to a meet and greet, and I can choose how I'd like to do. So do I want to do a video call? Do I want to do it in app or do I want to do it in person, right? So depending on which one I choose depends on what questions that come up, right? So like if I do it in person, it would actually ask me to let's put the details in around where we're going to meet for that meet and greet, because you've got to remember no details are shared. Obviously, we always advise people, if you are doing an in-person meet and greet, to potentially pick a neutral place to go to do your meet and greet, right? Like, so maybe a coffee shop or whatever it is to have that conversation with the support worker. Otherwise, you can do the video call. You can customize the time. So you can pick the date. So I'm going to pick that I'm going to do my meet and greet on the 4th of November this year. I can pick the time. It's going to be 10:15 a.m. And then once I send that invitation, that will actually send a message to Harry, that support worker that I'm potentially going to do my meet and greet with. And it would 100% give him the option to accept or decline that meet and greet. Once he accepts, it's all locked in our calendars, ready for that meet and greet. I'm not going to do that for the moment, but then you would normally see that you've set up a meet and greet in that session. Lastly, if I wanted to at any time, and I talked about blocking and reporting before, if for any reason I want to block or report any conversation that I've had, I can click on the eye up the top there in the chat and scroll down here, and I can block calls, I can block Harry altogether, and I can report Harry, right? So obviously, I'm not going to block him right now at the moment, but if you were to block Harry, block the calls and block Harry, it means that Harry would not be able to message you or anything like that. Or I can report Harry, right? If I'm about to report Harry, it automatically comes up. I can select a reason for why I'm blocking Harry. So he might have some inappropriate content to me, and I can provide more details. If you actually complete that, it would automatically get created and sent to the safeguarding teams for us to investigate that moving forward. So this is where we can try and keep as much as possible on the platform because we can see the different activities that are going on. Now, the one thing I would stress more than anything in regards to our video calls, in regards to our phone calls, none of those are actually monitored. Like we don't have access to those call recordings. We don't have access to those video chats. They are 100% through a third party that is doing that moving forward. Let me go back to here. So then I guess the big thing about why the communication is safe on the platform actually matters. I think the number one thing, it keeps your details private. So any of your personal details until such time you want to share them with somebody. So as I said before, especially as a client or a support worker coming to the platform, nothing is shared with anybody until such time you go into an actual agreement with that person. Everything, if it's done through the platform, is a clear record for us if something does go wrong. The first thing that customer safeguard teams would do is they would jump in and have a look at all activity through the platform, all the messaging, all of the activity that has happened to try and ascertain where something has gone wrong or look at different things. If you keep everything on the platform, you stay covered by the protections and the insurance, and it definitely helps to build a trusted and professional community. So I guess like we've put there, keep it on Mable and you can keep it safe. So another thing that's really important when you're thinking about your safeguards and everything that's happening at the moment throughout your time on Mable is an agreement. So an agreement is your mini contract between yourself and the worker, right? So before any support session starts, you must have an agreement in place with your support worker. It captures different things like the support that's going to be completed, the rates, the schedule, and any other factors that you've both decided upon between the two of you. If at any time you choose to change something, you'll need to re-sign an agreement as well. So I think one of the things that we'd really like to go through is what's some of the things that an agreement should have in it, right? Because this is where we know that sometimes people get unstuck because they don't have enough information in the agreement and so forth. So obviously where and when the support activities will occur, what type of support you will be receiving during this thing. So it's trying to list out as much as possible. You've got to remember that these agreements are flexible and you can change them at any time. What kind of activities the support worker will be helping you complete, info around the minimum hours per session, information around the cancellation policy, any policy that you might put in there around finishing early or late. For example, like a support worker might put in there that if you cancel within 3 hours of the shift, 100% is charged to you for that. If you cancel within X time, it might be 50%. But this is where, especially as a client, you need to make sure you're reading that stuff so you're aware of what you're agreeing to when you actually accept that agreement, right? Information on when the agreement may be changed, updated, or terminated. In regards to, like how much notice period you have to give a support worker around when you don't want to use them anymore. Any info around feedbacks and complaints. So there is a section around, what do you need to do if you have a complaint about our sessions or anything like that. And any important information that you want in that. And I think what we need people to understand is this is sort of like your little mini contract between you and the independent support worker, right? Or the independent support worker and back to the client. So we want to make sure everybody's taken the time to read it. Now, at any time, when you get an agreement, you can decline the agreement. If you decline the agreement, you can easily go back to the support worker and let them know the reason why I've declined this agreement is because the cancellation policy isn't in there. I want to know what the cancellation policy is or anything like that. So that's how you can make sure that you safeguard yourself by having all the correct information in that agreement to start with. So I think the thing with that is it keeps everybody on the same page. Like I was saying before, it makes sure that what is actually agreed on in that support and when it will happen, how it will happen, what will happen when you cancel a session or anything like that, everybody's on the same page around it. Because if we had a complaint come through to us in the safeguarding team around my customer cancelled on me in regards to a shift and I want to charge for 50% of that shift, the first thing we would go back to and go and have a look at the agreement to see what was agreed upon by the two parties. So this is where everybody can be on the same page. Obviously, the agreement protects you. So if there's any disputes, misunderstanding about anything like rates or anything like that, the agreement is that source of truth. It defines your support. So this is where we do say to everybody, make sure that you get your support worker to not just put in the small amount of information. If you want to be really particular on what support they are delivering in that session, get them to put it in the agreement, right? So for example, if you're saying that you're hiring somebody for gardening, let's just say we're hiring somebody from gardening, they're going to come trim the trees, mow the lawns, do the edges, and sweep and hose down the paths, right? Get them to put all that in the agreement, right? So that you are confirming this is exactly what this person's going to be coming and doing. I understand for different circumstances it may need to be a little bit more flexible, but this is where you can be very flexible in that agreement as well and change things up if circumstances change, right? Because you might then in the next session with the gardening, ask them to extend the hours out, but also do some extra hosing down or cleaning of outside windows or something like that. It also confirms the rate. So the rate that is actually being charged, which is really important. Also making sure that they do pick the right line items and stuff like that is also a very big thing for when we move forward, because if the right line item is being picked for the service category that you're using, it will flag to the support provider if they are potentially putting a rate in that goes over the cap rate, right? So that automatically gives them a bit of a notification is, hey, just to let you know, this is potentially over the cap rate. You need to have a look to see whether or not that needs to be amended. So if we have a look at some agreements, I'm just going to jump into one of my test profiles again. Just going to go into it from a worker side. Just give me a second. Oops. Could help if I spell correctly, people. So this is where you would find the different things about the service groups. Make this a bit smaller. It has the rates in there. It'll have if there's any travel. So that's another thing to make sure check upon is the worker charging a kilometre fee for if they're taking you out to travel or anything like that. Here around anything to do with the cancellation, anything about changing or adding sessions, anything around minimal times or anything like that. So that's where the different things on this is actually sitting. So we just need to make sure that For this one, this agreement was basically they're going to assist me with dressing to and then drive me to an appointment while I wait to have my appointment and then drive me back to home. Right. So this is a one-off shift that is specifically given instructions of exactly what they have to do. Right. So this is where we just need to make sure that everything that is in an agreement sits within the agreement for you to be able to select. So the next thing we're going to have a quick talk about is the support worker verification and the insurance that comes attached to a support worker. So if we have a look about our support workers, so we have different qualifications that are required for everybody. So if we think about everybody that comes to the platform, so everybody that comes to the platform must have an ABM, a valid NDIS worker screening check now, completed infection control, minimum either the two professional or character references, their profile photo, their bio, or if they are working with vulnerable people in Tasmania and ACT, they require that as well. So that's a minimum for everybody coming to the platform. Now, if they sign up, if they are providing support to anybody under the age of 18, they must have a valid working with children check based on whatever the requirement is for the state that they're at. If they are providing transport services, they must have a valid driver's license. Now, the one thing I would say is obviously we check the valid driver's license and we keep the expiry of the valid driver's license. But if there's anything moving forward after we've done the initial check, it's up to everybody else just to confirm with them that they still have a valid driver's license moving forward. Personal care. So if anybody is delivering personal care on the platform, they must have a certificate 3 or 4 in disability or similar qualifications, 2 years experience, and that's either nursing qualification from a relevant country as well. So there's different countries that if they are a registered nurse from some of those countries, they would get automatically personal care, but they wouldn't get nursing because they're not qualified or APRA registered to do nursing in Australia. Anybody that has nursing services, so they have to have a current APRA nursing registration that is active and it's been active for more than 12 months. The same with a allied health service, so whether you're a physio, an OT, or a psychology service, you must be registered with APRA, active for 12 months, and have 2 professional character references. Same with a speech pathologist, it's just that they're registered with Speech Pathology Australia. In regards to insurance that your support worker has, so when you book and pay for support through Mable, it comes with a suite of insurances. So your support worker is automatically included for public liability, professional indemnity, personal accidents, and medical malpractice. So if something happens, we will work with your support provider to put through the claim process with our designated insurance broker to ensure that it's handled quickly. Your support worker does not receive any insurance if you take your support or your relationship off the platform. So in other words, if there is no timesheet that has been put in through the platform for that service, then you are not covered for insurance due to the fact that there's no support session that's been put through the platform. And I guess really what we want to make sure is that everybody has the best tips to be able to stay safe on Mable. I think the big tip is keep every communication as much as possible through the Mable platform. If you keep everything through the Mable platform, we can 100% see everything and we can see the responses that come back and forth. If we do get complaints that are coming and the conversation's been off platform and we have to mediate between different things, we will ask for any evidence that we have in regards to any of that. Make sure that you confirm all the details before booking, right? So double check the time, the rates, the support needs, and make sure that everybody's on the same page. Never ever share personal or banking details got to remember that with Mable, we do all the invoicing, we send everything. There should never be a time where anyone's asking you for bank account details or even your payment details to be able to send you directly an invoice or anything like that. There's no need to exchange any of that privately. Also, too, if you are a client, once you accept an agreement from a support provider, it automatically shares with them the details of your contact number and the address that the support will take place in the agreement in the platform. Once you are not in agreement with them, that does become removed, right? So you don't actually have to share your details any other way if you don't want to. Obviously, trust your instincts. Use the reviews on the profile. So if you did or didn't know, once you are using a support worker, you can write a review about your support worker and give them a rating. So there's always down the bottom of every support worker's profile, when you're reading the profile, it has any reviews and ratings. And they can be anywhere from 5-star being the best of workers to a 1-star with the comments that go with it. Obviously, make sure that we stay professional in chats and visits, and report any issues. If there's any concerns or unusual behavior, let us know sooner the better so that we can help and jump in and help mediate or fix anything for you. So what I'm quickly going to go through before we wrap up today is how you can actually report an incident or a complaint to us. So reporting a complaint, so there is actually the feedback form on our website. So you can do it through some of those other reporting in the conversations and stuff like that. But obviously on our website, there is a section that you can provide feedback and you complete the complaint. As I said previously, we'll review every complaint within 72 business hours. We may contact you to seek additional information. So whether that's us picking up the phone, giving you a call, sending you an email, asking you for extra information, but we will get in contact with you to find out anything, and also to find out, like as we're going to go and mediate between this, what is the outcome that you want? Whilst it can't always be the 100% outcome that you may want, we will look at delivering a suitable outcome, right? So we'll work through contacting affected parties and going to both parties around that, mediate between the parties, deliver a suitable outcome, and work through the appeals. Wherever necessary, we may report something to the NDIS Quality and Safeguard Commissions if we think there has been a breach of the code of conduct and so forth. If you want to report an incident, so it's not just about a behavior or something, it's maybe something that did actually happen on shift. Once again, you can go to our incident page on the platform and you can fill that out. So obviously this automatically comes through to us. Once again, we'll contact, very similar to what we do in regards to complaints, but obviously with incidences, because they sometimes are something that we need to act on a lot quicker. And depending on the severity of the incident, we will contact the affected parties to gain more information, facilitate accessing to support services, assist with finding continuity of service. We might refer anything to our insurance in case there's a claim for your support worker. But once again, if we do find that there's anything that we need to report to the NDIS Quality and Safeguard Commission, we will do that. Obviously, we do advise everybody to report that directly themselves. But if there's something that isn't being reported that we do think that they need to report it, we might potentially step in and report that moving forward. And I guess the big couple of things: how can you actually contact us? How can you talk to us? So at any time you can call through to the 1300 number. It will automatically go to our customer support team. And if you have an open incident or complaint that is being worked on by a team member, there will be an opportunity to be put through to that team member to have a conversation. If it is that you just want to be able to lodge a complaint or lodge an incident and not have to go onto the website, you can also call that number or come through to the live chat in our homepage. And that agent that helps you out will be able to take the details of the complaint or the incident and pass it on to the team. Once again, you can also complete in any of the forms moving forward. So whether it's the incident form or the complaint form, or you can purely at the moment email the trust and safety mable.com.au, and that will actually come straight through to the team as well. So there's quite a few ways of being able to contact us and complete an incident or a complaint form. So that, I guess, wraps up some of those questions. Wraps up some of the information. So now we've got about 15 to 20 minutes for anybody that does have any questions, which I think I'm going to hand to Kimberly, and she's probably going to ask me the question, and then I can answer the question.
Awesome. We do have a couple of questions. So the first is in regards to the recent change in the platform where support workers are now checking in and checking out directly on the platform for their shift. There's been some instances where the client is getting charged for time that they arrive early. Do you have any sort of advice on how to go about with that?
Yeah, I think the one thing that, oh, sorry, I forgot to mute myself then. I think the one thing that we do need to make sure of is especially with the check-in, check-out and stuff like that, we do need to have conversations with those support workers around the fact of please ensure that you're checking in at the time that you need to check in. Remember, at any time, you can actually reject anything and they can go back and manually put something in, right? So at any time, every client has the ability to reject a support session if something's not 100% correct, right? So you have up to 24 hours when a support session is placed into the platform to be able to reject that and for the support provider to fix it and put the right thing in. So if there's, for some reason, a couple of minutes or something like that's been added that shouldn't be added, there's an easy way to be able to reject that and get that support worker to manually fix that moving forward.
The next question is about driver's license and them being verified. Somebody's found that there's not a lot of workers with verified driver's license on the platform, but they're offering transport services. Do you have any sort of tips on how we can work with the right people?
So anybody that is verified to do transport on the platform, it will be listed under the services that they offer, right? And you'll see that there's a badge on their profile that says we have verified their driver's license at time of verification, right? So if they don't have the transport listed as one of the services that we've verified them to do not accept, and they don't have their verified driver's license, that's not something that they should be doing. And 100% report that to us so that we can investigate that. It may be that they actually do have a driver's license and they could potentially be doing it, but we haven't actually verified them to be able to do that, right? So you want to make sure that everybody is verified for the service that they should be doing.
And what about the type of car they're using? Whether it's reliable or roadworthy, are there any safeguards to protect clients about that?
In regards to what car they're using, that is the responsibility of the client and the worker to have the conversation to find out the information around what type of car they're using and so forth. So everybody is supposed to have their car registered, obviously roadworthy. They also are supposed to have their insurance, which is double checked when they first come onto the platform, but it's the responsibility of the mini contract between the two parties to double check everything. But if you require a certain car, you require a certain conditions in the car that you're going to be traveling in, this is where you need to make sure that you're asking the questions in regards to the support worker for that when you are hiring them. So ask them, like, what type of car do you have? What type of model do you have? How old is it? When was the last time it was registered? Like, you can ask all of those questions to make sure that you understand what's happening moving forward.
There's also a question about sort of why the Mable platform doesn't show the suburb of the support worker and where they're based and any details about their last name. Is there any privacy reasons?
Yeah, 100%. So obviously we don't share any details. It's just no different to a client, right? Like, we just show them the postcode of where the client would be living and their first name. Same with the support worker, what the support worker actually has and the ability. You can see all the code, because in regards to a support worker, when they come in and fill in their profile, they will actually list all the suburbs that they are willing to work in. Right. So if you go and have a look at their profile, it will list a heap of suburbs. If we only just did it to that one postcode, it means that they would only get action from clients from that one postcode, right? But also in regards to privacy, we want to make sure that we're covering off. That's why until such time that you're in an agreement with everybody, full details are never shared.
Fabulous. I think the last question, there's a question about payments from Grace, which I'll pop the details about how she can get in touch with our payment team. There is a question about how support workers are verified if they have medical issues providing support. Is there any unsafe practice if they have medical issues in registering in Mable as a support worker?
Probably need to ask. I'm just confirming, Rosario, this is you are meaning that um, the support provider themselves has a medical issue. Is that what you're, or a medical impairment? I'm guessing that's the question. I'm just going to go with that. Um, with joining, because they are independent contractors, um, they do not have to disclose anything to us around any medical conditions they may or may not have, because coming to part of the platform, they are signing up to say that they are part of the terms and conditions is that they're fit and able to deliver the support required and what they're approved to. Obviously, if there's anything else in regards to that, we can investigate and have conversations with that support worker if anything comes to light. But when they actually do sign up to us about anything in regards to that, they are saying that they are fit and able to be able to support somebody moving forward. But if there's any problems, and I think this is what Kim said at the beginning, if there's any individual problems that any of you have faced or whatever, please, we will give you the email to reach out to us and we'll look for that straight away and we can reach back out to you in regards to that.
Great. Does anybody have any other questions? If so, please feel free to pop them in the chat. Might give it another minute or so, and then if nobody has any questions, we can end the session. But if you do, please pop them in the chat right now, and Simon will be very happy to answer them. All good, guys. If there's no more questions, we might end the session here. If you came a little bit late or you missed out on any parts of the webinar, we will send a copy of the recording around to you all tomorrow. But thank you very much for joining us today. We hope you got a lot out of the session, and thank you, Simon, for taking the time to speak to us.
Thanks, everybody. Not a problem. Sometimes potentially hope to speak to you later, but not hope to speak to you later. Awesome. Thanks.